Good morning. What's going on, everybody? It's a beautiful Tuesday here in Austin, Texas. And welcome back for Tuesday Training. This is episode 20. 20 of these things. We're doing them every Tuesday, 9 a.m. And man, we've got another stellar show lined up for you today. I can't wait. And I hope you had a fantastic new year. But first, I got a wee bit of news for you guys. So check this out. I was thumbing through the news today and saw this pretty interesting little article. The JP Morgan 2023, right? They are doing their big healthcare conference this year. A lot of good information in this little article that I pulled from Fierce Healthcare. But the one little blurb that was in there that really caught me was right down here, that rumors are swirling that CVS Health, I should say, is exploring a $10 million deal to buy primary care provider Oak Street Health. Pretty interesting. As soon as that was announced, Oak Street Health's stock went up 32%. But yeah, pretty interesting. You know, CVS has done a phenomenal job really expanding themselves in the health insurance place. They're not just a pharmaceutical giant anymore. You know, they own Aetna. It's now a CVS company. And now they're looking at buying Oak Street Health too. So that would be pretty interesting if you ask me. We should see some big strides in value-based care when we see something like that get behind it. Another little piece that I saw, if you guys haven't seen this, I picked this up on the Precision Senior Marketing blog, and this was brought up a while back, but CMS is proposing some new prior authorization requirements. So right here, you'll see this nice little article. You can go to Precision Senior Marketing's blog and pull it up. I want to say this was in Kaiser Family Foundation, as I remember previously. But basically, they're looking at coming up with some new prior authorization rules that are going to speed up the ability that your prospects or your clients on MA plans, well, they'd be a little more efficient in getting some of their treatments or some of their procedures approved properly. So this has always been a big complaint against Medicare Advantage plans that prior authorization exists. It is a pain in the neck. I kind of agree with you, but there are some new things coming up. So I would definitely check this out. They're looking at basically creating APIs where they can get those prior authorizations done much more efficient, much faster versus just kind of paperwork and garbage going back and forth. So look for that to improve hopefully in the near future. And on another note, this is kind of a side note, but I'm of the opinion we'll probably start to see prior authorizations slip into original Medicare in the near future as well. Maybe I'm wrong. I've heard a few guys talk about that, and I think that might be right. But maybe with some of this new digital versions that they're doing, we can get it done faster, more efficient. And I think their ultimate goal is kind of, you know, not only to speed up the efficiency of the service to the client, but, you know, maybe reduce some fraud at the same time. So last one that I'd like to show you guys. I know you guys love to do training, right? Because that's what you're here for, Tuesday Training. Cigna is doing a lot of different trainings that you can tie into. So if you are a Cigna agent, I would assume you're probably getting notices on this, but you can also look this up on the Precision Senior Marketing blog. You will see a whole bunch of trainings that they have scheduled for the month of January. Today, for example, they're actually doing a training on retention, which is what we're going to go over today. They have an OEP training, and they're repeating that training for a few days until they get into leveraging supplemental benefits, DSNP training, and so forth. So pretty good stuff, right? I hear a lot of agents complain about training. Hey, I don't get no training. There's no training available. Well, there's training everywhere. You just have to be willing to look for it, find it, and tie into it. So there's some great training Cigna's throwing down for you. And speaking of great training, wow, do we have one for you today. This young lady was on our show last year. Not that was that long ago. It's only January 10th. So last year wasn't that far away. But the truth is she's already back. She is immediately the fastest guest to appear twice in a row on Tuesday Training. I am super pumped to bring her on. She's a pal of mine, and we've been having a good chat. So let's get her up here. She is known, well, as the queen of the bundle herself. What's happening, Miss Hendricks?
I'm super excited about being with y'all again.
I am super excited to have you here. And now I have something to throw out to some of my other guests. I'm like, hey, you know, when are we going to get your second episode? Gaylan's already done 2 that fast, and she's bringing the heat again. So I appreciate you being on.
I love it. And I love the fact that last time we had so many great comments at the end. And being able to talk with agents. One of the things that you and I talked about before we jumped on here was making this very casual. That's what I really like to do. I like for all of you to think we're just kind of like in the friends coffee shop. Everybody have a cup of coffee, chill out, and just ask your questions, because one of the things that I think is really great about what Tony's doing for you guys and other folks that I work with is that they're providing you something that we hear a lot of complaining about. Just like you said, one of the things that I told a group right before the end of the year, quit complaining and start concentrating. One of the things I think we do is we live in a society where it's just so easy to, pardon the term, but I use the word gritch. It's a combination of grappy and bitch. But at the end of the day, we've got to remember that we're kind of in control of our own destiny. Mm-hmm. We're in control of our own paycheck. You're in an environment where you wake up each morning deciding how much money you want to make. You don't need to go into anybody and ask for a raise. It's writing one more application. And, you were talking about retention, Tony. I think that that's one of the things that we've got to really focus on is what bundle selling does to the persistency. I was doing some studying yesterday, and if you're not studying your business, that's the first thing you need to do. Just like Tony said, look at this article I found. I spend an hour reading every morning trying to be better than I was the day before on knowledge. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and it applied more to property and casualty, but they've been doing this longer than health insurance agents as far as bundle selling. But like I told you guys, McDonald's has a 97% attach rate, and I know you guys can be better than the high school kid jumping out of bed going to sell, Egg McMuffins every morning. But at the end of the day, they said that the people that bundle sell, 97% of clients want to hear what they can do easier in one transaction. So when you don't do the bundle selling, you're allowing other people, other call centers, the people you're complaining about, instead of concentrating on, you're letting them have your business. So it would be like you going down I-35, Tony, and throwing out $500 bills, to everybody, and when I say that, everybody goes, well, I wouldn't do that, but you are. And before we talk about the slide that we're going to furnish you, I think one of the things that I told Tony was so great was about this new Aetna Cancer Commission. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody has it on their feed. Every marketer in the United States is sending it out to their agents, but they're not calling their agents and saying, hey, pull your comp schedule out and let's go through what you're going to make on each and every application you write. And if you remember last time I told all of you guys, pull your comp schedules. In our office here, our agents averaged 2.5 apps per phone call. So if you're not averaging at least 2 applications when you walk into a home, you're not doing something right. You're not adding to your bottom line. You're not bringing profitability. So Tony, without further ado, let's pop the slide up, or there we go. I hope I can read that.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, Tony, you may have to blow it up a little. But anyway.
I'm not that good.
I'm going to try to memorize it. I think Med Advantage first, Med Sup second, and then under age 65.
You were right on point.
Okay, good. So what I want all of you to do today is remember those 3 words that are big and bold on the left-hand side. Whenever you go to do business with anybody, you're going to be asking these same questions. Let's say that you want to go build a house. Okay, your first question is, why do I want to use this builder? So your clients are asking you, why do I want to work with Tony? Why do I want to work with Gaylan? How will they help me? And when can I start being covered? Now, that's what your client's thinking. But the way that you bring in this 30, 60, 90 presentation is by being a salesperson. You know, I can't see all your lovely faces, but I see all of you wishing us good morning, and good morning to everybody, especially my lovely Grace. I see you out there, and Melissa, I see you too. One of the things that I think is really interesting is when I was in Utah, and I think I touched on this briefly, I had one of the top agents in the country in the room stand up and say, I may be the top agent, but I'm not the salesperson I used to be when I was in car finance. I need you to help me be a better salesperson. And I looked at him, and that's really unusual for those of us that have ego. I'm just telling you. You don't really stand up in front of everybody and go, I'm not that great a salesperson when you're at the top of the leaderboard, right? So I asked him what he was struggling with, and he said, I'm struggling with asking people for money. And I said, well, what are you selling to these people? And he said, zero premium product. And I said, oh, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to sell zero. And he said, yeah, but sometimes I'm fighting with other agents to get the zero. So I have to prove myself, but I don't know how to ask for the budget. So I went back and I created this 30, 60, 90. And if you've been selling at all at any time, anywhere, you know, I didn't have to go far to create the 30, 60, 90, because in the old days, this was called the Ben Franklin close or a choice close. One of the things that I find with new agents is everybody thinks they can be a stellar Medicare salesperson because they see people doing it that they think are not as great as them. And they're like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And that's what as recruiters and marketers we do. We want everybody to believe in themselves. And that's our job, is to get them to believe in themselves. But as an agent, the Marine on the front line, if you don't have all that confidence that General Patton and MacArthur said you need to have, because if you don't, you're going to die. So think about that. If you don't have that confidence and that conviction, you're going to die. Your business is not going to make it. You're going to be that person sitting off on the sideline going, what am I doing wrong? Why is that person making it and I'm not? And it's because your customers' needs are coming second to your needs. And I think my earbuds may be dying, so I may take this off in a minute, but I'm going to keep it on as long as you can hear me. Tony, if you don't hear me, wave at me. So one of the things that I want you to really focus on in this call today is why you got in the business. And it's okay. I'm going to say it again. It's okay that you got in the business because you needed to make money. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed by telling anyone and everyone you want to make money. We are promised prosperity from the very first Sunday school class we ever attend. Prosperity is spoken into us from the time we're little kids. But it's up to you if you're going to be prosperous and what makes you feel prosperous. You know, one of the things I told Tony that I'm going to start saying more and more this year because I believe it and I live it, normal is nice. It's nice. It's comfortable. Above average is amazing. None of us are going to be perfect. So take that pressure off. Everybody knows that.
Well, hopefully we don't lose her long. Come on. Come
Hey,
back. There she
hold
is.
on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're perfect. You just had a little blip, but you're good.
Okay, good. So I'm taking those out and charging them back up.
No problem at all.
So above average is where you want to shoot. You know, my mother was one of the best parents a child could have because she did not apply pressure to her three daughters. Her thing was, I don't expect you to be above average. I don't expect you to be below average. You be average. It's up to you if you want more than that. And it's also going to be on you if you're below average. So when you think about that, if you're not where you want to be in your business, I'm going to ask you all right now, and anybody that comes into my office to meet with me, they bring a notepad and a pen. David Chambers will tell you to this day that anytime he ever met with Gaylan, he had a takeaway list. You should never be on a training, my friends, that you don't have a takeaway list, because I learn more from this chat, from Tony, from Grace, from all the people I'm with than I ever teach. I always take away something. This morning, when Tony brought up Aetna buying Oak Street, I got to thinking about what that's really going to do to my cancer business. How do I start getting the Oak Street people before the buy's ever done excited about what I do, so that when they start thinking about Aetna, they're like, man, we're going to be able to get that deal. That's going to be awesome. You know, you want your customers to want to deal with you. So when you're on that front line, have Patton, have MacArthur, have Tony, have Gaylan in your head going, if I don't believe in me, I'm going to die. These people have got to believe in me to buy. And I use a lot of rhymes because I'm a very type A personality. I like to keep things very simple. I don't overcomplicate. So if you see this slide right here, you'll see very simple. Very simple. Keep it in front of you till you get it down. Know when to pivot in your presentation. Know how to position the products. And when you transition into trusting, you guys, that's a amount of money that's going to pay you. Now, let's think about that for a minute, Tony. We're going to talk about cancer for a second, but we're going to talk about all the products out there. So when you think about cancer and people say, Gaylan, why Aetna? I always say they're the best partner because they trusted me back in 2013. And I'm on the front line. They hear what I tell them that we need. I told them the agents in Med Advantage needed more comp. So Taylor and I go to work, and listen to this, you guys. If you walked into a dry cleaners, I just told Tony this before we started. You walked into a dry cleaners, or you walked into, I don't know, Tony's company or my company, and I hired you, and I said, okay, Grace, every dollar you bring in this first year, you're going to make 80 cents of it. What business does that? Tony, are you going to give 80% of your profit away?
I'm going to go with the no, Gaylan.
Yes, that's a good answer. So here's what you guys got to remember. Call your uplines. Start talking to them. You know, I call those partners, but I have to go with y'all's terminology. You know, I don't believe in the hierarchy system. That's why I live in the United States. But here's the thing. When you call your business partner and say, hey, Gaylan told me today that on the Aetna Cancer Plan, I'm going to get 80 cents of every dollar I charge a client in the first year. Well, everybody goes, well, why did you do that? We're selling seniors, you guys. every year their life expectancy becomes what? Less. However, if you're selling them a cancer plan and you sell them a $600 premium, y'all do the math. What is 600 times 80?
480.
That's what you make off that cancer plan. Now think about what the average comp is you make on a Med Advantage sale. Depending on the carrier, what is it? 3 to 5, depending. Okay. You're making as much on the cancer plan as you are the Med Advantage. And all you've got to do is ask one hard question. Just one. Mrs. Jones, I know you want the zero premium, but I've got to ask you a question. Do you have around $8,300 in your bank account each year at the end of the year?
Explain where you're getting that 8,300 from, just to make sure they're up to speed with you.
I'm going there. It's in the presentation, because guess what? Tony just asked the magical question, which kept the client engaged. And I promise y'all, we did not set this up. Swear on a stack of Bibles. I literally say at that moment, the customer says, why do I have to have $8,300? It doesn't cost anything. Because here's what happens. 87% of cancers that are diagnosed in this country, Mr. Merwin, is in people ages 50 and older. I have down your 65. So you're a statistic now.
At 65, I've read it's 50-50. Once you hit 65, you got to bet a coin flip on whether or not you're going to spend the rest of your years with cancer or not.
Yep. But in the Med Advantage world, we write a lot of what? Med Advantage disability. So what we're trying to do is get our clients to understand that there could be an out-of-pocket. Well, I get an agent. I'm going to give you all the objections too here. I get an agent go, but Gaylan, I sell Humana and they only have 3,500. Or Gaylan, I sell Molina and they only have 1,000 out of pocket. Okay, that's great. You know what's going to be out of pocket for them with oncology. You have no idea what their prescription drug out of pocket cost is going to be, because we do not have transparency in this country on drugs. That's the same thing we tell a client. And if that client goes, well, I can't afford that $30 monthly premium or that $600 annual premium for the cancer, then my friend, you can't afford zero premium. And stop. At that point, and I hate to get this graphic, but y'all got to remember the majority of my clientele over the years have been male. Tony, did you know I'm probably the only female that has 47% male followers and 52% female?
Doesn't surprise me.
Because all I talk about is legitimacy. It works for men and women. There's no box. You know, we're all people. We're not asking the hard questions. The hard question is what helped my friend in Utah out here, Ryan, start saying, how much budget do you have? Do you have $30, $60, or $90 a month? Because depending on how much you have, I can build you a standalone plan with your Med Advantage zero premium, or I can build you the Grand Slam like Denny's. So let me ask you one other question. Who will this burden fall on if you do not pay the 30, 60, or 90? Which child of yours is going to pay the 8,300?
That's the tough question.
Because they would rather pay 30, 60, or 90 a month. Now, for those of you that are losing it a little bit and going, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I'm going to have people just say, I don't want to do business with you. I don't know if I'm going to slam the door. No, my friends, what they're going to do is they're going to say, you know what? No one has ever told me this before. You have just differentiated yourself from all the dead bodies on that line because you're living. You're still engaging with your client. Then when you get that child on the phone, because you're going to say, what is their phone number? When is the best time to call them? How do I need to contact them? With you or by myself? Everything's a close. It's not, do you want me to call them? It's not, are you going to call them? Because you just got shot down with the other bodies on the line. It's when, how. Why do I need to call them, Miss Jones? Because you're leaving them with a significant burden. Because when your parent is diagnosed with cancer, you're going to do whatever it takes to keep that parent alive. So let's at least give them the opportunity. Now, here's where this gets really good for you and builds your business. Remember, we're going for above average because we want to be amazing. And you don't have to be perfect to do this. You're going to stumble. You're going to mess up. But what does every goat of anything you've ever loved say? Practice makes perfect. You've got to keep asking. And remember, ask is just an acronym for always seeking knowledge. The more knowledge you seek from this client, even if you didn't get the cancer today, it's a phone call back by someone in your office, by you. Who have you known that's had cancer since we had our discussion? What happened to them? What were their drug costs? By the way, let me send you a picture of what the average drug costs are for people taking cancer drugs. We provided that to you guys last time. And you just send them that slide. The other thing that you're going to get out of this is now you're on a referral track. There is not a better, just because it's free. But remember, referral leads are not free. You had to work for that referral. You had to gain trust. That's why your book of business is so invaluable. Because if they trusted you once, they'll trust you again, my friends. So look at that in that blue box right there under those 3 questions. Protecting the prospect properly equals policyholder persistency, which equals paycheck protection for you, my friends. The more your clients have with you, the more they see you as their agent. Now, that other little blue box over there, that's how you're going to start building your bundles. And this is a way to keep something out in front of you that keeps you on track. At some point in time, you won't need this because you're going to be so good at it. But in the Med Advantage world, everybody always asks, what's the perfect bundle in Med Advantage? Well, the best bundle in Med Advantage is what is best for the client. And their largest out of pocket is always going to be cancer. Most of their children can afford, especially if they go into a Med Advantage hospital and have heart surgery. The most out of pocket they're looking at is $1,450. But yet we'll write them a hospital indemnity plan that's loaded up because it takes care of all illnesses, because we're lazy and we don't want to ask the hard question. And then when their kids come in and say, where are you paying $120 a month for this for? And they're like, well, I don't really remember. Well, they cancel that. And when they cancel that, if you added a cancer rider on there, you just lost the client the cancer coverage. So you sell $30 plans. You sell a $30 hospital indemnity, $30 cancer, $30 final expense, $30 dental, vision, and hearing, $30 short-term recovery care. And if you're in an area where you have give back dollars of the Part B, use that as to build their plan, because that money is not for them to go to the casino with. It's to build benefits that were stripped out to keep it at zero premium. So use that to pay yourself. Use that to protect yourself, to protect your clients. So in MedAdvantage, the first thing is always a cancer plan. The next thing could be hospital indemnity or life insurance, because these clients typically do not have any life insurance. You will find out your best referral partner is a final expense agent because they don't want to sell health insurance, which is so sad to me because they're already asking for the premium. Now all they got to do is sell zero premium. It's the exact opposite of you. But they're giving that business away. But now you could pick up somebody, help them. And I honestly believe the more you share, the more it shows you care. You know, I've invited partners, competitors into my office for years and showed them what I do. And so when I call them up and say, hey, I want to talk to y'all about this new cancer plan I've got. Sure, Gaylan, what is it? The door's already open for me because I've already shared with them. So on MedAdvantage, just know where you're going. You know, the Grand Slam effect worked for Denny's. There's a lot of people with heart disease because of Denny's, but they will go in for that Grand Slam every time. Especially if you have a give back program, you can hit 90 to 110 every time with these clients working this bundle. And we have a worksheet that I'll furnish Tony after this call that goes along with this slide. And it helps you fill in the amount of premium that they're going to be spending. You can turn that around to them and say, what of this do we need to take out? Do we need to take out your cancer protection? Do we need to take out your dental, vision, and hearing protection? Which one of these do we need to take out, Mrs. Jones? She says, well, you already told me I'm getting $85. So really all I've got to pay is $20 out of my pocket? Yes. Well, I don't want to pull any of that out. Guess what she does the minute you email that to her? She turns around to her kids and say, you're not going to believe what I did today. This is another persistency protection. I took care of myself, so you're not going to have to pay this big burden. Seniors love to let their children know they're not going to be the burden. When someone dies, they don't have to face those people they're leaving that burden on. When someone's diagnosed with cancer or somebody has a root canal that's going to cost them 3 months of income, 3 months of their Social Security, they've got to call their kids. I had parents, y'all, that I had to do this with, and I'm telling you, it's heartbreaking for them. It wasn't heartbreaking for me. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But I'm also in the insurance business, and I make plenty of money because God promised me prosperity, and I run for it. I want to be as prosperous as I can. I have people still to this day go, you're an integrity partner. Why do you still work so hard? Because that's what I love. That's what I do. I help people. I help you who are listening on this call so you can help your clients. That Med Sup client, let me tell you what their package is. Almost everybody that has a Med Sup plan wants dental, vision, and hearing because in their minds, Obama told them that Medicare was the Cadillac plan. We still tell them that. So when you have a Cadillac plan, you think like CEOs. You think like government employees. The biggest shock to Medicare supplement clients is when they find out their dental, vision, and hearing is not covered in their Medicare plan. So they're going to go for a dental, vision, and hearing plan before they are cancer, which is really wrong because they're going to have prescription drug problems too. And Mylanta, don't even get me started when y'all start complaining that PDPs don't pay any commission. They've never paid any commission to speak of, but they are the best, the absolute best hook that you will ever fish with because they're not going to get you a little bitty perch. They're going to get you the big marlin because you're going to find out that when you start talking to your clients about the drugs they're on, and the first thing I heard this year was SilverScript's not paying me anything. I don't care about them. They're saving your clients so much money from dropping drugs from tier 3 to tier 2. If you use that to your advantage, you could say, listen, here how this works. Because I'm putting you in this great PDP. We're saving you about $580 a year in your drugs on average. We want to spend that money on a cancer plan. Because the biggest expense to you is if you're in that 87% statistic, you're going to find out that cancer drugs are the most expensive. They're on tier 5. They're going to send you through the donut hole like nobody's business, and you're going to be on catastrophic threshold. I just made so much money on that cancer sale. I don't give a rat's behind on what I would have made on PDP. And besides that, that client's going to start telling their friends about it. Because guess what? I'm going to say, look, this carrier quit paying us any money as agents, but I still show it because it's the best thing for you. But I want to show you what we're going to do with this savings. Guess what? When they call Mildred, I saw Tony today and he didn't make any money selling me this great prescription drug plan, but he showed me a cancer plan. And you know what? That would have helped you when your husband got cancer. You need this plan, Mildred. The reason referrals aren't free is because you worked your patootie off over here in this presentation. But now because you gained trust and you did your job right and you got to a transaction, now they're going to say your name. A lot of you have heard my testimony. Back in 1992, I was in debt up to my eyeballs. I could have done that commercial like the golf guy. But I prayed that I would be out of debt. And I know to this day, God sent me this annuity client. It got me all out of debt except for $500. I speak his name every day. These clients are going to speak your name every day when you take care of them. So in that MedSup bundle, you can see it right there, but you're going to write MedSup, you're going to write dental, vision, and hearing, and you're going to write cancer. Sometimes you're going to write short-term recovery care. Don't call short-term recovery care nursing home coverage. McDonald's doesn't give you heart disease by telling you the fries has this much cholesterol in it. Sell a home health care plan that's got some nursing home coverage. Don't sell nursing home plans that have home health care coverage. You've got to be better with your delivery. Because if your delivery is not right, they don't sign for it and you don't get paid. Next one. Those of you in the ACA space, we're going to do another one of these trainings in the very near future on why I sued the federal government. We won that lawsuit. We've allowed agents to be able to sell these bundles because the government was going to do away with all these ancillary plans. We just didn't know it because we weren't educated. I want to make sure each and every one of you is educated on everything you do, because that's how you take better care of our clients. That's how you take better care of our veterans that have worked their butts off so we can be free. So many times agents walk in and see TRICARE and run the other direction. I love our friend Christian Brindle. He goes, man, I go right into war with those people and I want to take care of them. But if you're that person that can't sell against TRICARE, and there's a lot of you, bundle. All of these plans go in conjunction with TRICARE, and they're not offered any of these as their benefit package. I have a husband that served in the Vietnam War with Agent Orange, and I can tell you, they don't take care of our veterans, but you can, and you will, and you should, because freedom's not free. And they will refer you, my friends. Once you get a veteran, ask to go to a VFW event with them. Those of you that know people at the Elks Lodge, go hold a bingo for them. We've got a mutual friend, Jerry Taylor, that's basically become nursing homes social directors. Goes in there and plays bingo with them. Just think about all the leads she's getting. And she can't work all the nursing homes in the United States. Those people need you and they need your service. So that's the 30, 60, 90 for you guys today. You know, we would love to answer any questions. I told Tony, it's kind of like we're in a living room, just chit-chatting with you guys. So if y'all want to ask us some questions, go right ahead. And I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, please bring on any questions you guys have. I have one question right up front, and that is on your wow, high, and win. You had mentioned, I see knowing when to pivot, but I want to talk more about knowing when to talk about these bundles.
I think that's
are we
good
doing this
segue.
point of sale, or are we doing this post sale? And the reason I bring it up is because now, if you're in the Medicare Advantage space, right, we're during open enrollment period. And I hear a lot of agents like, oh, well, you can't market during open enrollment period. So all that business I wrote during AEP is safe. Nothing's going to happen to it, right? Because people can't market during OEP. But what they forget is their agents are savvy. We're going to find a way to get that client on the phone without marketing OEP. Or maybe we're marketing MedSup. Maybe we're marketing final expense. Maybe we're marketing cancer, heart, and stroke, or hospital indemnity, or whatever reason that they're going to use to get your client on the phone. And so I'm a huge advocate of taking your 30, 60, 90-day approach and packaging it with my 30, 60, 90-day OEP approach, where every 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you call your MA book and check in on them. And not just check in on them, but this is where you tee up these bundles, in my opinion. So I just kind of wanted to hear you talk on that a little bit about maybe when you're presenting some of the stuff at time of sale, and then more importantly, kind of post sale, and kind of your thoughts on that.
Okay, if you guys are taking notes, I'm always a visual person. And so I always look at selling as pathways, right? So if I'm doing it time of sale, there's a certain path I'm going to go down. If I am setting it up that I'm going to call these clients back, that's another pathway. So what I do on the pathway at time of sale is I use my scope of appointment to my advantage. Agents for the longest were terrified of scope of appointment. And I always tell them, that's your best friend. Because what you get to say now is, Mr. Jones, here's the way this works. When you T65, and in my world, that means when you turn 65. And I always like to say T65 because sometimes they go, what does that mean? You want your clients asking you questions. You want that trust to start as soon as possible. And you want to kind of stay away from them asking you questions that will make you just talk about personal stuff. You want to keep this transaction as business, but friendly business. Okay, Mr. Jones, what I'm going to do is if we go down the zero premium route, I'm going to have to get you to assign a scope of appointment. And what that basically means is I can't talk to you about any financial products such as annuities, savings plans, or life insurance. I can talk about all the health products I offer, which you're going to need at least 2 of those to take care of the zero premium effect. If we go down the MedSup route, which means you're going to pay a monthly premium, we have a plan in that I love. It's got some co-pays in it, but I'll be happy to explain that to you. So really the only question that I've got to ask you today is, do we want to talk about both, or have you already made up your mind about one or the other? Which one is it? So now I've set myself up for a sale. I'm either going to get Med Advantage or I'm going to get MedSup. So check that one off the box. So conviction, right? So the next thing is, one of the things when we start down this zero premium route that you chose, here, I'm going to send you the scope of appointment. I'm going to need you to sign this, or however your system is set up, whether it's digital, phone verification, however you do it. But one of the things I want to make crystal clear while you're signing this is that I am going to talk to you about the biggest uh-oh moment of zero premium plans, because I want you to know this up front. Now, those agents of you that are already thinking, I'm going to bam her with an objection she's never heard before, well, that just doesn't happen with me. You're going to say, well, that's going to cost me my sale. And I'm going to look at you and say, if that costs you your sale, you're not selling it right. Somebody's going to come back behind you and they're going to snag your sale, because I'm teaching all these call centers how to sell cancer, dental, vision, and hearing, and they're averaging 2.5 to 3 policies per sale, and they have a 40% attach rate average. Now, for those of you that think they're just selling it wrong, those are the Joe Namath and the other folks out there. That's not the call centers I train. I'm training the call centers just like I'm training you. You've got to insure your business. So now they say, well, what moment? It doesn't cost any money, right? It doesn't cost any money, but it's like the great Dolly Parton says, it costs a lot of money to look this cheap. And if you're part of that 87% that gets diagnosed with cancer, you could be looking at up to $8,300 out of pocket per year. Now back to Tony's thing, the $8,300. What our government has decided is that all of you consumers out here love zero premium. But the only way these carriers can keep it at zero premium is to keep rising your out-of-pocket cost, just like your car insurance, just like your homeowners. So you pay a premium for your homeowners, right? You don't have zero premium on your homeowners, because if you do, I want the name of that company. No, I pay X amount of dollars for that. Okay, do you have zero premium on your car insurance? No? Okay, well, here's the way it breaks down. If you get hit with that $8,300, you just divide that over 12 months, and that's what your premium would be on your zero premium plan, because somebody's got to pay that. And it could be on this plan I'm showing you right here, it could be $1,000. It could be $3,500 out of pocket. But the max is $8,300 because you're going to pay that 20%. Now, the question I've got for you is, who pays that $8,300? Is that you, or is that your children? And that's where you get that awkward silence. And that awkward silence is not for you to fill in with chatty Cathy. Oh, who's that picture on the wall? Oh, who did you go to lunch with yesterday? Don't get caught up in taking your business transaction to personal just to fill that awkward silence. We've all done it. Some of you are still doing it, and you're giving your sales away when you get off the phone. Because somebody more skilled than you is fixing to call up and take advantage of all the prep work you just did. It'd be like you out there getting ready to replace somebody's roof, and you've done everything but put the shingles on. Well, somebody comes up there, throws the shingles on, and asks for 20 grand. That's what you're giving away. If you look at what this cancer premium will do to your income, you're giving away at least $20,000 a year. Because if you're not attaching 40% of the time a dental, a cancer, a life, short-term recovery, hospital indemnity, somebody's going to call your client and go, what cancer protection did your agent enroll you in? Now, as Tony said, let's talk about OEP. They may not can move your Med Advantage, but guess what they're doing? They're moving your Med Advantage client on down the road to that that AEP moment where they're going to call them up and say, I've got the greatest, best AEP ever plan for you. And because I came in and showed you the cancer protection, I would love to earn your business on your Med Advantage. I also have your life insurance now. I also have your unfortunate home health care plan. We hope you never have to use that, but we have that business now.
And I also now have you as a lifetime client because I've got 3 policies with you.
Absolutely. And your persistency just went up the wazoo. So that's at point of sale. If you set up down that other path where you're going to call them after they get their policies, do what you say you're going to do. Don't get so excited you got paid on your Med Advantage premiums and forget about your client. Call them and say, hey, I told you I'd call you back. We really need to get this plan done. It's the only thing missing in your protection. Your package of protection is very important to me because it's how I sleep at night and it's how I want you to sleep at night. I don't want this burden falling on your son, Johnny, you told me about. And y'all need to keep that in your CRMs. You need to remember who they told you their children were. What seniors love more than anything, because their children do not listen to half of what they say. Those of you that are parents already know this. It starts at a very young age and it gets worse as they get into their 30s. It's valuable to you as the agent when you can call them up and say, hey, you told me when I spoke to you last time that Johnny was out of work. Has he gotten a job yet? Maybe he would like to get into insurance sales. I'd love to help him. I'd love to introduce him. That's another way to build your business. And what better way for your client to trust you that you would bring her son into a business that you love, where he can be prosperous. Sharing is caring, my friends. And the more you speak to your client like they're your friend, there's nobody that pays you better than your client. Your mom and dad shouldn't be paying you if you're in the insurance business. I'll just put that out there. And your grandma and grandpa shouldn't be, unless they're trying to spread their estate tax out. But your clients pay you better than anybody, and it's up to you to show them how much they mean to you. When you send them a birthday card and you remind them very casually, by the way, we still have some plans we need to get into your package of protection. Your family would love for you to spend this money on yourself for your birthday instead of on stuff they're just going to give away to Goodwill. They care about you. They love you. I care about you. Give me a call. I'll check in on you a week from today, a week from your birthday, and then put it in your CRM. How was your birthday? Now I've got 2 plans pulled up here. We can do the dental, vision, and hearing and the cancer for $63, or we can do the cancer for $35. Which of those do you want to do now? You don't say, are you ready? You don't say, do you want to do this? You don't want to say, did you get a raise? Because they didn't. Something was brought up to me this last weekend, which was very important to me. My best friend is retiring. And she goes, Gaylan, it dawned on me that I have made all the money that I'm going to make in my lifetime if I don't go back to work or invest my money wisely. And her question to me was, do you still do annuities? Because I would love for you to look at my portfolio.
Damn straight I do annuities, girl. Let's go.
That, y'all, is like a blessing, because there were 4 other women there and they go, you do investments? So I think it's really important for you to understand that don't get so caught up on being perfect in your presentation. There's not a perfect pitch, as Ziegler said. When you strive to be perfect, you're striving, as Zig said, to be Jesus. I'm not Jesus. I'm Zig. I love when he says that. Mm-hmm. Because I relate to that. Those of us that are people pleasers, those of us that are perfectionists, those of us that are type A personalities, we put so much pressure on ourselves that it takes away from the pivoting and the positioning and the transitioning. You need to breathe. You need to calm down. And you need to remember, all I'm doing is taking care of somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother, somebody's father, the way that I would want somebody taking care of my mother or my grandmother. And yes, I'm quoting the great Richard Cantu, or I call Dante Cantu. But when he told me that, I'll never forget that. It knocked the wind out from under my sails. I was like, oh my gosh, what a perfect thing to say to somebody. I wish somebody had taken care of my mother the way I want to take care of my clients. I learn something new from you guys every day. Say that to your seniors. It makes them feel good. And you're learning from them. The more they tell you about a medication that one of their friends took that cost them their life savings, that's your story. That's the position. You're taking the position of standing strong at the front line and saving your people from financial devastation. You know, I would have given anything to have saved my dad's life from cancer because cancer didn't get my dad first. Financial devastation did. The stress of worry, the stress of what it was going to do to my mother's finances. You get to be that person. And no, we're not saviors, but we can save people money. We can save people frustration. We can save them from devastation. And that's what our true job is. Our job is not to do a 20-second telephone presentation and show at the end of the day to Tony that we called 534 people and made no sales. That makes no one any money. But the more people you talk to and the more people you care about, that's when you see prosperity.
Beautiful. Always good stuff. We got to wrap this up here pretty shortly because we are going on the hour, but I got a couple more quick questions because I know we got a few new people out there that maybe aren't necessarily in the Medicare space, or they're not necessarily in the health insurance space. So some of the stuff might be a little newer to them. So I'm curious, why lump sum cancer versus cancer treatment? And then why Aetna?
Okay, so lump sum when you're a senior is so much more important than a treatment plan because treatment plans pay $150 to $300 per treatment, which means you've got to go in and get a treatment before you get reimbursed any money. So when you have lump sum and you're a senior citizen, you may make the decision that you want to do something experimental. You may make the decision that you want to do something different. You may make the decision, they told you got 3 to 6 weeks to live, which just happened to a good friend of mine's sister. You get that money now. You can fly your kids in. You can have that time with them. If you die before you get treatment, that money goes to your family. So that might help with burial. But what we've learned with these Med Advantage plans, they're asking you for $3,500 up front. They're asking for that 20% up front. So if you don't get paid until you get treated, you can't give that money to that oncology clinic. Now, why Aetna? 80 cents on the dollar, my friend. You know, most of the street level contracts out there are anywhere from 45 to 50. So if you look at making 50 cents to 80 cents on every dollar, you didn't just get a 30% raise. That's 30 points. You need to back into what your actual commission check's going to be to see what raise you actually got. Because that raise could be significant, especially if you're talking to a son or daughter and they're going to pay the 30, 60, 90 for mom. Now you can ask them, what do you have for income protection? Do you have 6 months of savings in the bank? And remember with Aetna, they are committed to the philosophy that these are issue age products and they don't want any rate increases on their ancillary portfolio. So the younger you sell these people, the better off they are. And don't forget youngest spouse. The youngest spouse in that house determines the rate. And that can get them so much more coverage. And you physically have to put the youngest spouse first. So don't forget that. And you have me as a champion with Aetna. If something doesn't happen, everybody knows I answer my phone. Everybody knows I answer Facebook, text, however. You know, I love helping you guys. And I think the other thing for Aetna is they listened to a girl in 2013, and I was the first that had a proprietary product with Aetna. And we sell more cancer in the country than all the other carriers put together in the senior space. So it's a rocket ship. Get on with us. We want you on board. Oh,
Boom.
and
Well said. Yes. Oh,
it counts 3 to 1 on trip credits.
Counts 3 to 1 on trip credits.
And they pay bonuses on it.
Also has the easiest, slickest, most useful e-application on the planet, bar none. Security question signature. A few other people are finally copying them now, but truly Aetna is light years ahead of everybody when it comes to e-app technology, whether you're in front of the customer or over the phone, doesn't matter. Dude, that is a lights out product. I love it. We sell, and it's one of our favorite products to quote and sell. That shopping
Hey,
cart
I got
style
another
thing, the whole
idea.
bit.
I got another idea, Tony Merwin.
Oh, no.
Why doesn't the next training be role playing and I'll give scripts of how to call back books of business?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm pretty sure they are too. Sounds good. Well, get excited, guys. She's already teeing up another training for y'all, right? She's going to be our lead feature guest. It looks like that's where she's headed. Right now, we are booked through March, but we will definitely get her back on. Man, thank all of you guys for tuning in. Gaylan, thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure. I love you to death. And guys,
go follow me, Queen of the Bundle.
Queen of the Bundle. She's got her own page. You can look her up out there. We're here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Central. These are all recorded. You can find them in our feature tab of the videos on the page, Insurance Syndicate, where you're watching this. You can also find them on our YouTube channel where they're getting pushed to. So thank you again for tuning in. Come back next week. We're going to have Joanna Wyckoff on for you. I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about, but I probably guess it's going to be something about Social Security.
I bet you.
Thank you again. You guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week, 9 a.m. for Tuesday training.
Bye, everyone. Good luck and good selling.